Breaking news. New World Order. Mark Carney under UK with China and France. Penmanship solidified. I just finished all that again with BBC News. The thing I didn't want to see happened has happened. And Canada is going with the new Axis powers. We have China first thing this morning in New York, applying immediately, seeking penmanship from UK and France to stop Japanese remilitarization, where they are banned as a former Axis power. USA fully behind Japan as they get ready, as the world gets ready, that we very well are entering a World War III. A challenge to the Soviet Union, former Russian Federation today, and USA in human rights globally, worldwide, known as the current world order in international law. Again, can't make it up, folks. China got the super embassy in UK, Tower of London. It's approved officially after more than now 8 years. It's done under Keir Starmer. King Charles III fully approves it. As I stated, these are socialists and now extreme fascists. China's not a friend, even though Canada's opening the floodgates under that crown of the United Kingdom. Mark Carney's going full swing. Ontario can expect to lose all of its automotive sector, meaning Canada and the idea of Canadians producing any more than raw resources, raw first level products globally is a reality for the coming World War III effort to usurp and take the United States of America and absolutely the Russian Federation. I think we can now safely say that what was done to Russia over Ukraine and those Russian-speaking oblasts is what the wanting need is to destroy America. It's war on America. We're the bad guys. Now, Canada is a linchpin in this for its global resources to strengthen and divert everything for the American military complex straight to China so that they can stand up and destroy America. That's really what Canada is going to be going forward. Get ready for a worse quality of life. Be prepared for military intervention. The worst way of 51st state, meaning all of the Crown land becoming the 51st state and the remainder of Canada stuck in the middle of that, surrounded by the United States. Their first goal is going to be Greenland, and then it's going to be Canada, at least from the Arctic down into all of what is provincial and federal Crown land. That's the next military operation of the United States of America. It has to be done. Has to be done. And sadly, the vast bulk of Canadians are going to be stuck in the middle on that 9% currently of Canada as private property, without any access to any of their resources from the Crown lands that really generates almost 85% of our employment in this country, 85% of our economy in this country. You can all kiss it goodbye, kiss it goodbye. You're going to be a reality of the truth of what you are, designed entirely based off the UK model. I don't think Canadians can appreciate that. I know Ontarians don't. They don't very well have a clue. Neither do Quebecois. I don't think they realize that they're going to be surrounded by the United States in such a densely populated area and have the effectual reality of the United Kingdom. United Kingdom's going to go broke almost immediately, as they don't have any other ways and means of replacing that kind of loss of a free-for-all for resources that they've had through Canada. as they had through South Africa before Canada, and Canada became their quick replacement. That's going to come to an end. They may try and pull what they got away with Canada and Australia, but I don't see that coming to fruition. I think Canada and New Zealand will resist. I know India is going to resist. They're not going to take territorial losses with China, a strengthened military complex China, at the level of America. And I don't think America is ever going to allow China to really get those resources. If you've missed it, first thing, 8 o'clock this morning, as I just caught myself up with, China went right into the UNSC after getting an early morning approval from the United Kingdom with time zones. It's different for us out west, but yes, in the wee hours of the morning, that was approved. That happened, just as actually the Russian Federation, which I should have actually tagged those accounts. I should tag Donald J. Trump, White House, but I know they already know, and the Russian Federation, at least in the foreign ministry, but I know they already know. So I'm sorry, folks, the worst case scenario, worst news has happened. It's true, and China's moving very fast to try and get penmanship with their newfound Axis powers that always were. It's actually China who's moved from ally to Axis power. Basically the height of the evil of the Soviet Union, the time period of Joseph Stalin. That's what we're seeing with Xi Jinping. And I mean, the stories are there, everybody, with CCTV cameras in China, facial recognition. Those who speak out against the communist regime are deleted from the financial system, pretty much erased as Chinese citizens, and you basically got to fend for yourself on the streets, and you can't get a place, you can't rent, you can't work. And this is coming very quickly to Canada. For Albertans who believe they're getting independence, you can kiss that goodbye. You're going under the Canadian system, under the UK, and you've already been taken. You're gone. You're finished. You will be allowed that private property in the remainder, but America's going to take the rest. If there's any vote and hope for a place like Alberta, it has to be Alberta, the 51st state, and maybe then, and like Saskatchewan, if they followed suit, they could maybe become part and parcel of that new 51st state, starting from the Arctic down, beginning with Alaska and crossing over all the way to Labrador. But I doubt it very much. I think too many Albertans and Saskatchewanians are just too far gone to see it or accept that. And we're going to see that if coming referendum in Alberta comes to fruition, which I severely doubt. I think it'll be still a small rural turnout for the large part. And Albertans are going to be devastated to find that you're going with the New World Order, with Mark Carney, with the rest of us. And I'm Albertan too, everybody, and it's painful to see. It's just unfortunate. Even those who think they're awake, which are a minority, are still 10 years behind the reality of the times today. And it breaks my heart. It's painful to showcase that. But I think the worst thing is being in a country where my country is a number one enemy of America. It's heartbreaking. I have lots to think about, as all of you should too, about just where you're going to go in the coming months. And like I said, when November comes around and USA ends, USMCA, which they are, everybody, it is finito. Our economy in Canada is going to be destroyed in short order, very short order, most of which has been decided by Mark Carney and his elite little insider cabinet. Doug Ford found out what happens when you trust Mark Carney as he watches 15%, now officially not even today, it's days old now, but the last 48 hours, Doug Ford found out that you don't mean shit. You're a smaller crown of that crown. And of course, Doug Ford's not hurt, but Ontarians are hurt right now more than anybody, as you've traded that tertiary industry for first level harvest industry that doesn't yield. And it doesn't yield for a vast amount of Canadians like the automotive sector does. It's terrible. It's terrible. And just the state and level of adult Canadian education that really is where Germans were from 1933 to 1945, and the sad years after in rehabilitation, post the execution of high government officials and military personnel in the neighborhood of over 1,500, which was Japan, right? And Germany and Japan no longer institutionally exist this way. They were banned from military growth all of this time, still from the Allies. That's why Japan's moving quick to block the Russian Federation and the United States from trying to secure new ally powers. So America will have no choice at this point but to militarize, which they already are. Trump's been doing it since 2018, since the China G7 radar, as was the Joe Biden administration. Whether Joe Biden understood that or not, his administration continued on the work that Donald Trump was doing and everything he built and left to showcase. Realistically, I can foresee this, that Donald J. Trump will be the most celebrated American president in the decades to come, long after his passing. I think the whole world, and that's if once again the allies of World War II can muster the strength to defeat the Axis powers once more. And it breaks my heart as my Uncle John Mulanus, who's long since passed now, 3 times injured in World War II, a paratrooper who gave his life for our supposed freedom, who'd be rolling over in his grave, that all of what he did and the pain, the PTSD, all of that he lived with his life after, where he renounced a lot of Canada, returned all his medals to Canada, gave it all up, and he was rightfully so to do that in Jesus' name. And he was right, because he had learned that Canada was not what it was supposed to be and what the promise was, that his generation, and he started that at 17 years old, completing his military service at 21, a World War II veteran out of Canada, really out of Sundre, Alberta. And it's pretty awful. It's pretty awful that the legacy of those veterans that largely are no longer here anymore, whether they died of old age, that how generations forget, with the last of those passing on, and your government across every province and territory, provincially, and absolutely federally, have moved on right back into Nazification, right back into socialism and fascism as a staple of the narrative of the Canadian people, central to this new idea going forward that's not so new. It's called the Old World Order, and the desperation of all these crown kingdoms to go on, and they will accept communism before they ever give you, the people, the power. Equality of the state over equality of the person, because people are not equal according to those extremely narcissistic fascists who use socialism. They get all the perks of socialism, while you, the lesser class people, are fused to and exist to fund them and their efforts for their wealth accumulation. And it's sad when the 5% rule the 95% as slaves, and in even worse, there's still peoples defined as less than human being. The current source of the greatest evil of mankind is those stylized governments, and sadly China has accepted. China has seemingly forgot everything they went through. In the name of that, they're calling out Japan because America wants to now rearm a new generation of Japan and a new generation of Germany that's both constitutions remove that socialism and fascism. That socialism and fascism that still absolutely exists with UK and France and has never left, or any of their colonial assets, or their European Union, or their Commonwealth in mass majority. The mega bulk of the world's population exists this way. Canadians, you absolutely exist this way. You chalk it up as normal, it's okay, because you're vast resources in a massive country, yet you still can't balance a budget. You've got runaway inflation, yet you have the greatest source of resources for the smallest amount of population per capita in your landmass. But yet you can't figure that out, right? Alberta can't balance a budget, yet look at their tremendous resources per person per capita. Should all be millionaires. You shouldn't even have to work. You should be like Saudi Arabia. Of course, not the royal family, but the availability of the people. And I know my sister in oil and gas, high up, administrative, very successful career, worked and lived there for a time being. 5-bedroom house, double banister railings, triple car garage, driver, hired driver with vehicle, and that's how she lived when she worked there. You certainly aren't living and working that way in Canada for Canadians. And that should be your reality, but it's not, because you are more oppressed than South Africans of apartheid South Africa. Always have been, always will be, just don't know any better. You've got tremendous resources and lots of work opportunity. Don't worry about it. Who cares that 90%, 91% of the land isn't available to you? Who cares you don't have real property rights, water rights, civil rights, human rights? Who cares you don't need it? You've got perks from the crown in your class. Learn to accept it as you're going down, down, down. If you haven't seen the latest from Visual Capitalists, they show economies. UK's been on this trajectory since 2000. Canada's been on this trajectory since 2000. China going up, and now China's going, hey, we're going to accept you. We want to take out America. We want to stop the Allies, as it was under Joseph Stalin and what he did to all those who resisted him in his communism. Post-Nazi Germany and everything Russia had done to get out of that. But here we are. History repeats itself. Human beings never change because people don't want to. It's why things like Jesus Christ and religion of Christianity is so very, very important, at least when you don't have people rewriting New Testament or Old Testament into their crown's image. People, get this video out there. Canada is now public enemy number one to the United States. We're not getting the USMCA deal. There's no easy path to 51st state, not as lunatic Canadians are in vast majority. And Alberta, you're not, or Quebec, you're never going to see independence in the Made in Canada model. They're grifting you, they're tricking you. That system's designed to fail. You needed the allies of World War II, and you don't have them. Because those allies now are UK, France, and China in penmanship for socialist and fascist old world order. The world Nazi Germany wanted for themselves and their Axis powers to break from the old world order, crown Axis powers, the USA and the Russian Federation as the Soviet Union fought and stopped. Why, unfortunately, they saved UK and France is beyond me. They were always identical and have always been constitutionally to what was Nazi Germany, Imperial Japan, Spain and Italy, Spain and Portugal. It was all that, and now that's who they are. They've switched sides officially. That's my video. Share, share, share. Get it out there. Breaking, truthful, can't make it up. There's a dark, dark future coming for us and our children, especially here in Canada. It's going to be Canada, the 51st state, the hardest, most unimaginable way, because Canadians just can't get out of where they are. Just as the Nazi Germans couldn't, the Imperial Japanese couldn't. They have to be broken through the worst kind of military intervention, including execution of a mass amount of government and military personnel. And if you haven't read all of the Nurembergs, even though they only list one, Japan went through it too. Thousands put to death by the Allies post-World War II. Call that Nuremberg 2.0. And it went on. There's another 83 after Japan. I'm sorry, folks, but that's called truth and reality that you were never educated to ever know about, which is beyond me, because that is the first thing the UN Charter calls for every member state to do. God bless. That's my video. Share, share, share. Get it out there. Bad news indeed. Bye now.